Behind me are 10 high-level grapplers. We have MMA fighters, jiu-jitsu black belts, and wrestlers. And today, they'll be competing for $1,000 and the opportunity to become the first ever annual Rolling in Tobago beach wrestling champion. The rules are simple. A push-out is worth 1 point. A takedown is also worth 1 point. But feet to back takedowns are worth 3 points. And the first person to 3 points wins. The tournament is single elimination, but since we have 10 competitors, our first 2 matches are to decide who makes it into the official bracket. And first up, we have Jay versus Daniel. Daniel's a jiu-jitsu blue belt, and Jay's a black belt and former MMA fighter, who, along with Jordan teaches jiu-jitsu, is definitely considered one of the favorites to win the tournament.
Wrestle.
It's also worth mentioning that Jay's one of the biggest guys in the tournament, and he uses that strength to snap Daniel down and find a body lock. Since Daniel did not land on his back, that's 1 point for Jay. Jay gets to another front headlock and uses it to set up a double leg for his second point. And needing only 1 more point to advance, Jay controls the center of the circle and gets the push-out point to punch his ticket to the quarterfinals. And to determine who gets the last spot in the bracket, next up we have Zach versus Rico. Both guys are athletic blue belts with good wrestling. But Zach comes out of the gate with a ton of forward pressure and gets the step out point. The toughest part of beach wrestling is adjusting to wrestling in the sand. That may seem obvious, but when you're accustomed to grappling on mats and then go straight to beach wrestling, it's a harder adjustment to make than you may think. As you can see when Rico goes for this shot, the sand takes all of the power out of the double leg, and Zach capitalizes with another push out.
That's a step out, that's a step out. 1 red.
In fact, the nature of sand changes the wrestling dynamic so much that it almost requires a skill set more closely related to Greco-Roman wrestling or judo, which we'll be seeing plenty of later in this video. But back to the current match.
Nice arm drag. Oh!
Rico hits a nice arm spin, but steps out of bounds, which gives Zach the victory.
Let's go!
Now with the quarterfinals officially set, let's see how Colin, the jiu-jitsu purple belt, stacks up against Jay.
And wrestle.
Let's go, Colin! Go for the pizza, boys!
Use the pizza!
Rolling Eva!
Use the pizza!
Jay scores a 3-point feet to back double leg and secures his spot in the semifinals. But now we move on to the opposite side of the bracket, where Theo, a large human and jiu-jitsu white belt, is facing off against fan favorite Jordan teaches jiu-jitsu. But first, I'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, BetterHelp. I love making videos like this, but in reality, the vast majority of my time is spent in isolation editing these videos, which isn't great for my mental health. But even though I knew I could benefit from therapy, the task of finding help has always been so daunting that I never actually took initiative. That is, until I found BetterHelp. It's an online platform that makes starting therapy easy. All you need to do is fill out a questionnaire and you'll be matched with a licensed therapist in as little as a couple days. And if the first therapist isn't the right fit, you can easily change therapists until you find someone you connect with. You also have the freedom of doing your sessions wherever you want. You have scheduling flexibility, and BetterHelp gives you the option to do your sessions via voice call, video call, or even just messaging, whatever you're most comfortable with. And you don't need to have a clinical mental health issue to start. Regardless of your situation, they're there to offer new perspectives and teach techniques to help you make a positive change in your life. We all put a lot of effort into taking care of our bodies and learning techniques to become the best grapplers that we can be. So why not do the same thing for your mental health? So if you think you could benefit from a therapy session, click the link in the description or go to betterhelp.com/RyanJuliano and get 10% off your first month. Thank you, BetterHelp, for the sponsor. Now back to the video. For those of you who don't know Jordan, he's a black belt, amateur MMA champ, and popular YouTube creator. If you haven't seen his videos, you've probably seen him defeat a knife attacker by pulling guard or obliterate a baseball bat with a straight ankle lock.
That's pretty easy.
That was the fastest one.
They battle for underhooks until Jordan's able to off balance and get the 1-point takedown. They reset, and Jordan snaps Theo into a front headlock to set up his favorite throw.
Nice. That is 3 green.
To Theo's credit, he's not the first one to get sent by one of Jordan's Uchimatas. And he won't be the last. And next up, we have Phaedra versus James to determine who will face off against Jay in the semifinals. Phaedra uses James's forward pressure to snap him into a front headlock, but James never stops moving. Phaedra drives forward with the double underhooks, but James is able to turn his hips and whizzer hard.
That's 1 point. One red. First step out.
James takes the lead and goes right back to pressuring forward in this next point. He's circling to keep his back towards the center of the circle and drives Phaedra out of bounds for the next point.
1 point red.
James has only been training jiu-jitsu for a few months, but he's had a few amateur MMA fights.
Set. Wrestle.
Phaedra's a jiu-jitsu purple belt, and he isn't going down without a fight.
Arm drag.
Now that Phaedra's on the board, will he continue to mount his comeback, or will James seal it in this next point? James finds an underhook and drives Phaedra out of bounds to win the match. And now for our last quarterfinal matchup, we have Zach versus Luke to determine who will battle Jordan in the semifinals.
Wrestle. Good shot.
Luke uses his head position to drive into Zach, and although Zach snaps him down, Luke scores the first point with the step out. And apparently, Zach took that personally.
Let's go! What is that?
Zach ties the match with a big mat return, but jams his big toe in the process.
I got a caught.
Zach is clearly willing to put his body on the line in order to win the cash prize.
$1,000? That's mine. That's mine.
But his toe doesn't seem to slow him down on this next point.
Go for the injury!
Zach takes the lead with a beautiful knee pick, but in the next point, Luke answers with a sprint single to tie the match.
That's 1 green. Next point wins. Ready?
Save again, Luke!
Wrestle.
Zach comes out on top and will face Jordan in the next round, the winner of which will move on to the finals to fight for a chance to win $1,000 and the prestigious title of beach wrestling champion.
Wrestle.
James is a great athlete, as we've seen, but Jay's hands are made of lead, which he uses to snap James down for the 1 point takedown. And in the next point,
Wrestle.
Jay does a beautiful job keeping his head tight to the chest, which he uses to drive James over his own leg to finish the body lock and secure the victory.
Moving on to the finals. Jay.
And now to determine who will be facing Jay in the finals, we have Jordan versus Zach. I'm going to turn off the commentary for this one and let the wrestling speak for itself.
Stop. That's 3 red.
The $1,000 finals match is set. It's a clash between two titans, Jay and Jordan, neither of which have given up a single point throughout this whole tournament. But first, we have our third place match between James and Zach. I did everything I could to make this tournament as legit as possible, from the anklets to the referee uniform to making custom medals for the winners. And like any good tournament, there's always a third place match. There's nothing on the line here except pride, glory, and a spot on the podium. Both competitors come out strong in the hand fight, but it's Zach who uses James's hand control against him to hit a duck under and finish the 3 point takedown.
Third place, baby!
And now for the moment we've all been waiting for, the $1,000 match.
All right, you guys ready? Finals match. Shake hands and wrestle.
If I know anything about Jordan, it's that he's a serious competitor and he's going to do everything in his power to win this. And if I know anything about Jay, it's that he's an absolute monster. 2 jiu-jitsu black belts and gym owners with extensive MMA experience going head to head in a beach wrestling match for $1,000. Jay stuffs Jordan's shot, and now Jordan needs to fight the hands to escape the front headlock. By keeping his posture and using his leg to block Jay from elevating his hips, Jordan's able to counter the Uchimata and take a 1-0 lead.
That's one red. Wrestle.
In the next point, they hand fight for 20 seconds before Jay finds an underhook, and this happens.
Whoa!
I called this 1 point for Jordan because from my angle, it looks like Jay stepped out while Jordan was flying through the air. It's a tough call, but watching it back, it probably should have been challenged. Unfortunately, there's nothing that we can do about it now, but move on to the next point.
Ready? Wrestle.
And thankfully, my disputable call didn't seem to discourage Jay one bit.
Nice, that's a 2, that's 2. Sorry, that's 1. Great job.
Jay gets on the board with a 1-point takedown, but
You don't feel obligated to keep going for this.
Jordan aggravates a pre-existing injury,
Keep going. Just be careful.
but insists that he's good.
You good?
Are you sure?
All right.
Okay.
2-1 red. Ready? Wrestle.
This has been the longest match of the tournament by far. You can tell both guys are exhausted, but neither one of them is going down easy.
We need control.
Jay tries to counter the single leg by driving in, but Jordan switches to a crackdown to finish the takedown and win the match.
That's 1 red. And also the winner of a $300 gift card to X Marshall and 700 Trinidadian dollars.
Wow.
We had a medal ceremony for the place finishers, hooked them up with some merch, and Jordan had one final surprise for all of us.
And I'm already sponsored by S Marshall, so I don't really need the S Marshall money. So I'm just gonna give it to Jay. So yeah, you get that. You get the S Marshall money. So yeah.
What a guy!
Yeah.
What a guy this guy is!